Hey everybody, so my name is William. I work within a couple different collectives. One of them is called the Elite Collective. My own business is A.P.C Photography and WDCD Media. I keep getting asked, what's the best camera to start off my career with? And in 2024 and 2025, depending on the situation, I'm still going to say the A7 IV with a rig like this is the best start off for any career in video. And the reason why I'm saying that is you have the access to a lot of amazing features, the ability to do just about any job you want to do, from video, photography, slow-mo, event recap videos, live streaming, the whole works in one camera. Now let's talk about the positives first. As you can see now, I've got it rigged with an Atomos camera monitor, small rig, using it for video, and this bad boy will give you ProRes video directly on here, no problems at all, and you can use just about any lens you want on here and do live streaming, and do videos, and do commercials, and do all the rest. I don't have the K3M handle on here, but there's a couple advantages with the K3M handle. If I wanted to rig this a different way, move this over and put the K3M handle on there, is that you would get 24-bit audio, you would get professional audio on here without having to use an external recorder, which saves you some money when you're first starting off your business. And you can get up to 4 channels on there, which means you can do a 4-panel interview with a single camera and a wide and be just fine. Another nice piece on this particular camera is using it for live streaming. There's a lot of jobs out there right now for doing live streams. And those jobs include a single cam. If you go watch any commercial work, a single cam, normally wide, you're gonna catch 2 or 4 people on stage. You need to be able to put out a good signal for the IMAG portion of it, which is just image magnification on an event. And it needs to be able to go to live stream with ease. Guess what? 2 wires, that's all you need. Now, one to the laptop, really simple to do, man. Like USB-C to the laptop, boom, you're out there streaming to anybody. It becomes the camera for the laptop, and it's a 1080p signal at, I believe, 30 hertz, but that's pretty much all you need. And then you can still output the 4K signal or the 1080p, which I just recommend the 1080p because most projectors, really, it's not gonna make a difference, and put that in the room. And you can literally just go an HDMI out to their panel, and there you go, your iMag's working. Put this on there, it's got a great autofocus, or you can do a manual, and you're just ready to go. And that's what makes this really, really versatile. Also, in a lot of those events, you've got about an hour of time where you're actually just doing live stream. And then the rest, you could be the event photographer after everything's done on a live stream, and literally just take this lens setup off, or literally just take the matte box off. In this case here, it's a twist-on matte box from SmallRig, and I've got my ND filter built into it, and that's a 9-stop ND filter, which is really nice to work with. And then you're ready to go. Boom. Turn this into your photography camera. Worst come to worst, you have to take this off, put your flash on top, and you're shooting all day long. So you're done with the live stream, you're now shooting, and then if you needed to also get a little bit of video while you're out there, just switch a knob on here. You go from photography to video to slow-mo all in one shot. Speaking of that, there's a ton of versatility in the type of codecs you have in here. You got regular HD codecs, which is great. You've got regular 4K codecs, which is great. You have the 265 codecs, which is really, really nice to have in here for high efficiency, and some people just happen to like it. The other part is you get an all-eye intro. So in other words, a more robust codecs that allows you to do better editing and better color grading down the road, all in this one package. So yeah, A7 IV so far seems pretty damn good. Now, what are some other bonuses on this camera? Customization. If you came from a Canon camera, or you came from a style of shooting, you can customize all the buttons to match that style of shooting, which is extremely nice, because before we get into autofocus, before we get into manual focus, before we get anything else, you have to be able to use the buttons to make the camera work for you. If you can't, you're toast, and you can't do any shooting in the first place. Now, some bonus features to the Sony that I have not seen on the Canon and all the rest of them are, with the customization, you can be in manual focus mode And if you customize the buttons right, you can press this button and not go to single shot like you would normally do here, which would then jolt you over to focus point. You can actually just tap this button, switch it to where it switches to continuous focus, and it will slowly bring you in. And with the versatility of the settings on here, you can set the lock to be really strong on the subject matter, but the transition to the subject matter to be extremely slow as if you have an AC pulling it. And it gives you a great look. Another feature that I really love on here is you have the option of touch focus while in manual mode, which means you could touch the screen wherever you want and it will focus into that area. And it will do it as a continuous focus until it locks in. And when it locks in, it's done. And it does it smooth, and it does it in a way like an AC would be doing it for you. As AC pulls focus for you. And it allows you to be a one-man crew with a very versatile camera. Is there RAW? No. Is there S-Log? Yes. All the varieties. So you got S-Log 2, S-Log 3, easier to work with than even the FX series because you get both options. Are there LUTs that you can add on here? No. They do simplify it to an auto assist LUT. It's just fine. It does the job. It gets everything done for you. And I love that part. Are there extra accessory costs that you need to make this camera into something where you can make money? Yes. Right off the bat, you can still make money without adding accessories. But yes, adding a cage makes a huge difference. And Atomos makes a huge difference. You'll have a lot of versatility added to the camera, especially if you're going to be recording internally and recording externally. So being able to get a ProRes HQ file, having extra codecs to work with is really, really nice down the road. Some of the other features this has that others wish they had, the autofocus. We've avoided that pretty much most of the way through here because everyone talks about Sony autofocus. And yes, you have a ton of options in autofocus here. You can do face, you can do eye, you can do animal. And if you're doing photography, you can have registered people so you can focus on the registered person. So if it's an event or a wedding, you're still going to have a designated person. There's really no difference between doing event and wedding photography. If you say there is, you just don't do enough event photography. You still have a shot list, you still have all the rest. They're pretty much the same thing. And I treat them both the same way, and I get a great result on both sides of it because I treat the clients like clients. High-end clients, they're going to get high-end workflow. Flash on here is really good to work with. High-speed sync is really easy to work with. So as I'm saying this, I'm going back and forth. It's a hybrid camera, and it can do multiple things. What else is there to say? There's going to be some naysayers. So let's jump on the naysayers stuff for about 2 minutes, then we're going to go back to the positives. Yes, the camera does overheat in 4K in certain situations. A lot of times I say you got about 40 minutes of 4K to 60 minutes of 4K. That's all you got. Works for me because in most cases, you're not going to be shooting continuously 40 minutes or 60 minutes, only during the live stream portion. And let's be frank, when you're live streaming, you're doing 1080p. And in 1080p, I've had this thing go for 4 or 5 hours. That's not been an issue. The biggest thing that I think will make the difference in that is just cards. I found that if you have a slow card, you overheat faster than if you have a fast card. I use V90s in here. I have no issues where I use V30s. I definitely have issues. I have yet to use the brand new Type A CF Express, so I cannot tell you how CF Express A would work in here, but I have a feeling that it would alleviate a lot of the heat problems. So yes, overheating is a possibility. Limitations on PZ lenses. So those are power zooms. They don't have the 2.0 lenses or the 2.8s. They have an f4. And it happens to be like pretty much like 1. It's an old lens. It looks really good, has that soft character, but none of the new stuff. That's another negative. It's an older camera. Some people will find that it being older, it'll be a negative camera for you. That's just a personal opinion. It's up to you. Now back to the positives. Battery life, excellent. Ability to power it off of USB-C, excellent. Make sure it's a high output USB-C. If it's like a low output, it'll still drain the battery, but if it's a high output, it won't drain the battery. It'll just keep it going all day long. I generally plug in a PD plug. That's a 2 output. When I'm using 2 cameras, I have one here, one there, so you got your wide and your tight, and it just works. And I can have it going all day long. I love that part about the camera. What else is a nice positive? The screen on here is good. The eyepiece is excellent. Customization of buttons we went over before, but you even have them on the lenses. And let's talk lenses. There is only one mount that I know of right now that has more options in cinema, not in photography, but in cinema, than Sony E-mount, and that is PL mount. If you are doing cinema mount, you're in an excellent position here. And the advantage of this camera is if someone rents you a full frame Sony E-mount lens, it works on here. If someone rents you an Super 35 or APS-C lens, it works on here. And if you're in photography, which I usually get this question, like, what happens if I'm in photography and I'm using a Super 35 lens? How much of a deficit is for you? Well, you go from 33 megapixels down to 14 megapixels. If you know anything about the old school pros, anything 12 and above, you're golden. You'll be able to make some great photos out of that. The raw, that'll be excellent. Now on the photography side, another part, you have multiple flavors of RAW. So you have compressed, uncompressed, lossless, and like a slew of variety. And if you're someone who's not comfortable shooting in RAW, there's a lot of people that aren't, there's an option called X-Fine. Now, X-Fine is a truly dynamic JPEG photo, because it gives you roughly twice the data of a regular JPEG photo, which means you have more versatility in editing. And if you're not good editing with RAW or don't want to render out a RAW, that's the way to go. And a lot of the websites now let you upload the X-Fine photo because, for example, this is a 33 megapixel camera. If I'm taking a regular JPEG, it's between 5 and 8 megabytes. That's all it is. If I'm taking a little bit more data on it, it's going to be 12 to 14. But if it's an X-Fine, it can be as high as 26 megabytes per photo. That's huge. That can be an issue for some websites, but most of them now let you upload that. And it's a lot of data to work with. So if you're editing the JPEG, you can actually pull some extra stops out, some extra color, which is super nice. And that's what I mean, like the full versatility of this camera when you first start off makes it worth it. Now, why didn't I pick Komodo? Why didn't I pick C70? Why didn't I pick other cameras? Frankly put, why didn't I pick an A7R 5 or 4, whatever number they happen to be on? Why did I pick an A1? Let me explain. Fully rigged. So that's with monitor, softbox, or matte box, sorry, matte box. See if I can get this twist on the first time. Well, look at that. Perfect. Matte box. Gimbal, a good one. So let's say a DJI $1,000 gimbal. Memory, all the memory you would need. So let's just say we did a terabyte here, and we did 128 or 120 gig cards or whatever, their 160 cards for their CFAs. Thank you, Lotus. A nice little tripod and ready to go shooting in a good solid lens. So let's just say this lens right here, which will cover tons, and so 24 to 105. So it'll cover just about everything you need for most shoot days. You're $7,300, $7,000. You can go a little bit less if you change lenses, change cages out. But let's just say you're between $6,000 and $7,500. Fully rigged out for any environment you need. If you're just looking at a Komodo basic one, you're $7,000. If you're looking at a C70, and this is without lenses now, this is without any cage or anything, you're $7,000. And you can't even start shooting with that camera until you get it rigged up. Komodo X, $10,000. If you're looking at Canon C70, $5,000 to $6,500, depending on which sale it is. If we're looking at an A1, stupid money. I think it's like $6,900 or some stupid dollar amount, or $9,000. A7IV, I think it's like $4,000. FX3, or, well, you can't use that for that, so it'd be the A7IV. In other words, all the other cameras ready to go out the box, you're looking at 11, 12 grand, fully rigged out like this, with the same capabilities. And this is including the handle too. So there's a handle that goes on here that gives you 4-channel, 24-bit audio. You're just not gonna be able to match it. And, you know, one of the rules I'm doing on this particular one is that every codecs has to be able to get 24-bit audio. And that would exclude the C70, because not every codecs can do that. So now we're really stuck with super high-end cinema cameras, super high-end cameras that can get the 24-bit in any codecs. And that's a requirement, because I don't want to pay for an A1. I don't want to pay for an audio engineer. And a lot of people just can't afford to add that $600, $800, $900, $1,000 line item on their first couple of videos, or their first 2 or 3, 4 years. After that, they can. But at first, they're trying to build up, put the reserves, everything else together. That's where this camera just comes in and does the job. And there's really not much anything better. So this is my opinion on the A7IV. Is it worth it now? Yeah, it's the best camera you can get for most productions that are going to be between $1,000 to $10,000. Peace.